What's doing, everybody? Today is Tuesday, August 20th. Steve Bannon's daughter, Moren Bannon, joins me on the podcast today. The DNC kicks off in Chicago, and the House Oversight Committee releases their report with evidence to impeach Joe Biden. A day late and a dollar short. I'm Alec Lace. This is The Alec Lace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to The Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Alec Lace Show. I am happy and honored, as always, to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast as it streams live on Rumble, please get down there, hit the follow button, hit the like button, and get involved in the live chat. If you are listening to the rebroadcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever it may be, please follow, leave a review, leave a like, spread the message, share it with everybody in your contact, in your neighborhood. Let them know about the Alec Lace Show, what we're doing here. I got a great program for you guys today. Moren Bannon, the daughter of Steve Bannon, is going to join me here in just a few minutes. What a whirlwind of a year it has been for her and her family. There's a lot to talk about with her. Going to get to that in just a minute. And if you guys missed last week's episode on Thursday, where I did the debate between the parody, the impersonators of President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, you truly missed out. This video has gone semi-viral. It's gotten massive play all over social media. It was broadcast first live on Rumble, and it's on YouTube, it's on Twitter, it's on all the other channels. A lot of people, so much tremendous feedback from the debate. It was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs with two very talented people, Sean Farish and Esty Palti, who are the best in the game. I mean, there's a lot of different Trump impersonators. Not as many, I would say, Kamala Harris. I've seen several others, but nobody even close to these two that joined me here on Thursday. So if you missed out, please go back and take a look, take a listen. If you need a laugh.
We had the most affordable country. I'm just saying that. We had the most affordable. Alec knows. He's a smart guy.
That's Biden's fault. I had nothing to do with it. I'm not responsible for anything in this administration.
And Madam Vice President, I'm not sure if that's Willie or Montel, but someone keeps texting you over there. I don't know if that's becoming an issue on your end, but I keep hearing that beeping going off. It's getting very monotonous. So I'm
so sorry, but it's a lot of interview requests. I don't know what these people want from me.
And she's telling all of them no. And they're saying, why not? And she's saying nothing. That's what's happening. It's the fake news wants to interview her.
I'm leaving them on red. I'm not saying anything.
And they're blowing up her phone, and she's ghosting. They call it ghosting. She's ghosting them. That's a horrible thing to do. I would never do that. I would never ghost the American people, Alec. I would never ghost the American people. She's ghosting them. That's a horrible thing.
I'm honored that I got you both here. I know she's very hard to get. Like I said, Willie helped me out with that. As I said on Thursday, this is the style show that should be done on Saturday Night Live, on The Tonight Show, on any late night program. Both Sean and Esty should be involved in doing this type of debate or their type of material, because it is hilarious. It's hysterical. They are professional, and they are the best. So much tremendous feedback. If you go through some of the comments, not only here on Rumble, but also on YouTube, also on Twitter or X, just nothing but mad respect and applause for Sean and Esty. So again, I'm really grateful that they took the time to do it here on the Alec Lace Show, to do this style of debate. I had a ton of fun. I know all you guys that tuned in live on Rumble, you guys loved it as well. So please, if you missed out, please go back one episode, take a look at it, share it with everybody, because it was a lot of fun. I'd love to do something like that again down the line. I'm sure this is something that they should definitely take on the road. I mean, these guys should be doing this constantly up until November, because you really can't get sick of it. The material is always fresh. It's always new, because this political cycle seems to be going at 100,000 miles an hour. There's always something new that's changing here, and so much more to throw in. So again, if you missed out on that, please flip it back and check it out. Now, talking about the news cycle moving this week, it's the DNC in Chicago. and it's already turned out to be a disaster. But how do you know, if you're one that's wondering, like, hey, is the DNC, is the Democrat National Convention, is it coming to my city? Is this where it is? Here's a few warning signs that you could look for to tell if the DNC is coming to your neighborhood. Do you have a massive amount of riot police showing up to the neighborhood like this here, right? If you have massive amounts of police dressed in riot gear on bicycles staging an area, you could suspect that the DNC is going to be in your neighborhood. Or if you happen to see fences going up around a sports arena or any type of public venue, if you see all this fence-style material, or you want to call it a barrier, a wall, whatever you want to call it, if you see this going up around any venue in your neighborhood, there's a chance that the DNC could be coming to town. If you see businesses in your neighborhood boarding up their windows, this is a sign that maybe the DNC is coming into your town. If you happen to see a mobile abortion van show up in your neighborhood, there's a good chance that the DNC is coming to your town. Now, these are just some of the things that you could find in Chicago surrounding the DNC in preparation for the DNC. So you had police in riot gear, hundreds of thousands. It's all hands on deck. It's calling all cars. All police must be there and present. Now, of course, on day one, you had the protesters. The anti-Israel protesters were out there. You had Antifa out there. You had all kinds of chaos and bedlam taking place outside the DNC. So obviously, the police are needed, despite the fact that Kamala Harris is quoted as saying that people think that having more police means you're being safer. And that's not necessarily the case. She is a big defund the policer, as well as so many of the people inside the building at the DNC. They are anti-police. They are defund the police. Yet, they have called all hands on deck to protect them during the DNC. Isn't this crazy? Like, aren't you, like, as a Democrat supporter, if you're a liberal and you've bought into this bullshit plan of defunding the police, aren't you looking at this and saying, wait a minute, why are we asking for so much police presence and so much police protection? I thought we hate the police. I thought we want to defund the police. No. Defund the police for you, the citizen in Chicago, where there's people getting murdered by the hour. You get no police protection. Us, the politicians that are telling you you don't need police, we want our police protection, and we ain't going anywhere without it, as indicated by the presence of the police in Chicago at the DNC. All right. Also, too, they built that fence, this barricade, which they busted through one stage of it. The first tier, they busted through the fence, the anti-Israel or whoever, the Antifa, all these people. They busted through. I'll play some of the video clips of it here as I'm talking. They busted through one of the fences. Other fences are holding up. They've built this because they expect to have people, their constituents, their supporters, their maniacs to act the way you would expect them to do. So they built a fence to protect them from their own voters. Okay, it's not Trump supporters that are out there bashing the fence in. All right, it's not. You don't see people wearing MAGA hats out there trying to bust down this barricade, right? So that's another thing that's going on there. Now, also, too, because the DNC was coming to town and you know there's going to be a lot of Democrat voters and a lot of Democrats in your neighborhood, the businesses started to board up their windows. Now, you know, it's Chicago, it's a Democrat city, so they already lock up so many of the, valuable items like shaving cream and pantyhose. That's all locked behind bulletproof glass once you walk in the store. But now, because the DNC's coming to town, they boarded up the windows because they expect, some of their polite constituents to just bust through the windows and start looting the store. So they had to board them up. And this one takes the cake, right? The Planned Parenthood sends the mobile abortion bus to Chicago, offering free abortions and free vasectomies. This is a party that hates parents, that hates the nuclear family, that hates family life more than they hate anything. And they have an abortion bus on hand to offer free. Now, I believe it went like hotcakes because they booked up so many appointments, they don't even have any more left. I mean, they've got one after the other coming in there for this. Now, it'd be nice if these Antifa people, if somebody could guide them to the vasectomy bus and just get them so that this way we don't have to produce any more of these people. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. But of course, this is a little tongue-in-cheek. So how in the world could you be a Christian and vote Democrat, show up at the DNC and see a mobile abortion bus and be like, yeah, this is the party for me. This is what God would want, right? This is what we stand for. Like, you have Trump, who has been the most pro-life president in the history of the country, and you have, on the other hand, an abortion bus giving free butchering of babies on site. And as a Christian, you're thinking, oh, well, who should I vote for? Right? So it makes zero sense. So this is what you can expect. Now, the building was empty, okay? Here's a picture of the building day one with the audience, and we'll contrast that here. I'll put up day one of the RNC. And as you can see, there's a major, major difference, because one of these is a classic grassroots movement, one like we've never seen before, and the other is a facade that's been built up by the media and by the press to tell you that it's something that it really isn't. There is no enthusiasm. There is no energy. This is a media-created frenzy around a candidate that nobody voted for. And let's be honest, that's what it is. Nobody voted for this woman. Nobody is showing up to this thing. And the energy is gone. When you show up to some place where Trump is going to speak, you can, if you've ever been to one, and I know many of you listeners out there have been to at least one Trump rally, you can feel the energy the minute you walk into, as soon as you get close to the place, you can feel the energy. You start seeing the Trump supporters, and you feel good being around those people. You feel good to love your country. You feel good to love your family. You feel good to love God, like God, family, country. You feel that spirit. You feel that energy. You don't see any of that with this DNC. Well, how could you? They hate America. You have a whole bunch of people who hate the country. So they're not going there like, yeah, we love America. They love to throw the word democracy around. Democracy. Instead of the constitutional republic that we are, they love to throw around democracy. We're a democracy. No, we're not. But that's the word that they use. They don't use anything else patriotic about America. They use that one word, democracy. You don't see people draped in the American flag, singing all kinds of patriotic songs. You don't see any of that kind of energy. You see that at a Trump rally. The American flag now has become the symbol of the Trump party. And Trump has a serious grassroots movement. People love President Donald Trump. But here's the same thing. Nobody's showing up. Protesters outside, rioters. These are the people that are getting 90 million votes. It's bullshit. The whole thing is a joke. Now, talk about, loving democracy. Joe Biden gives this interview, and I'm going to talk. I got Moren Bannon coming up in just a few minutes here, but Joe Biden gives this interview with Lester Holt. I just want to play this clip here of him saying this. This was 6 days before he sent out this tweet on X to step down and resign. Listen to what he was saying about the primaries to Lester Holt.
Do you feel like you've weathered the storm on this issue of whether you should be on the ticket or not?
Look, 14 million people voted for me to be the nominee in the Democratic Party. Okay? I listen to them.
Keep in mind, 6 days after that interview, Biden decided he wasn't going to run. He's bragging about 14 million people voting for him in the primary, and then decides it ain't for me. 81 million people voted for him, his most historical election ever in history of the United States. 14 million people vote for him in the primary. They vote for nobody else. Kamala doesn't get one vote. He's surging forward. People in the party are telling him he should step down. Nah, I'm going forward. The people voted for me. I'm going to listen to them. 6 days later, all of a sudden, the people who voted for him don't matter anymore. In the name of democracy, he steps aside, and then they put in Kamala Harris, who nobody voted for, who nobody wanted, and all the Democrats are like, yeah, this is democracy. We're saving democracy. You've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled into a candidate that nobody wanted. And they're telling you it's in the name of democracy, and these people are so stupid that they believe it. Now, everything about Kamala Harris is fake. It's a fraud. You smell the phoniness coming off of her every time she speaks. And here she was. She staged this thing at this convenience store, right? Sheetz in Pennsylvania. She goes in to get a bag of Doritos. This thing is so staged that the husband, the first gentleman, he finds the bag of Doritos while she has no idea where to even look for it. She's looking in the candy section for a bag of chips. And so the husband finds one. Then Tim Waltz, they have a separate clip. Oh, Tim Waltz finds one too. Oh, we're giving her bags of if you watch, and I played the clip here for you guys because there's not really too much sound to it. It's just the optics of it. It's so cringe. Everything that they do, it's so phony and so fake and so fraud. Even this stop at a convenience store. When you see Trump make a stop at a convenience store, the whole place is surrounding him. Everybody wants selfies. Everybody wants autographs. Everybody wants to be around him. The energy inside the place is electric. She walks into the store, it's staged, no one cares, they're walking around, it's all a farce. The whole thing is a farce. Then, she goes outside and they ask her a question about how she's going to pay for her economy. She has an economic plan. So they say, oh, how are you going to pay for this economic plan? So listen to the response she gives. Take a look.
Sure. Well, I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it in the first year of our administration. We reduced child poverty by over 50%. So that's a lot of the work. And then what we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on that investment. And when we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools, again, return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment. When you are strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy, everybody benefits, and it pays for itself.
Kamala Harris just gave you another lesson on how to speak many words without saying anything. She has mastered this. She is the wizard of the word salad. She can say more words without any meaning than anybody else I've ever seen in my life. She is a walking filibuster. She has no idea what she's talking about. Unless she has a teleprompter and scripted notes in front of her telling her what to say, she's got zero clue, and she sounds like an idiot. But the media is telling you that she's the darling. She's the one that's going to take the country. What are people looking at? What do they see? You can't, I mean, I understand the Trump derangement syndrome is ripe and there's many people that are affected by it, but there can't be this many people that are going to look at this and say, that's the person I want to lead the country. She can't even string two sentences together that mean anything. I don't know. And then you have, the media that has been telling you that Kamala Harris, she's the best thing since sliced bread. She's the best thing since Obama. She's recaptured the Obama energy. So then you have guys like Don Lemon, the shill that he is. He goes out on the streets in New Jersey, down in Atlantic City, my state here, right? The communist state of New Jersey, which is always going blue. He goes down and says, I'm going to ask these people about what they think. Who are they going to go for, Kamala or Trump? And how do you think it went? Take a listen.
Here in Jersey, Atlantic City. Who do you support?
I'll plead the fifth. Trump for the win.
Tell me why.
I can't really call that right now, but I just feel like she's not good for president. She's good vice, but not for the actual lead role for the country.
Does it have anything to do with being a woman?
No. No, because I feel like women, you're not going to give me that.
Your money's on Harris.
Yeah.
Who do you want?
Trump.
Why don't you like Harris?
She don't have any experience.
She's the vice president. She's a senator.
Yeah, no experience. No. She has no experience.
Well, I want Donald Trump. I just feel we need somebody that has a stronger background with the military and the world in general.
She was a prosecutor and an attorney general and a senator and a vice president. You're in a gambling town. Who's your money on?
I'm going to support the Democratic Party, but, Trump looks like he got it in the bag right now.
4 years ago, it was a lot better. I made a lot more money than I do now.
I know you feel that way, but that's not actually what the record shows. The economy is actually better under Biden. No, I'm serious. That's what the facts show.
Okay, you know what?
No, that's not because I watch CNN. Trump or Harris?
Trump.
That's who's going to win.
That's who's going to win.
Who you support?
I support Trump. All the people that came to this country legally, it's not fair that they're letting all 10,000 to 15,000 people or 20,000 people here illegally. Have you seen San Diego? Yeah. They're coming off the boats, off the water right here, off the ocean. Did you know Biden was flying them in? You didn't know that?
Oh, I know nobody likes him, but we had good times with Donald Trump. Our economy was good. Life was good.
But the economy's better under Biden than Trump.
Bullshit.
Well, that's what the stats show. That's what the facts show.
Well, you know what? I don't know where they're getting their facts, but I don't think they're valid. I don't know where their facts are coming from.
Now, Don probably doesn't remember that just 50 minutes away in Wildwood, New Jersey, Donald Trump held a rally that had over 100,000 people show up to support him. But here's Don Lemon. It's like Don Lemon's another. Now, he was at the DNC, and I forget who it was that was asking him, like, hey, Don, you trying to get a question on him. He's like, oh, no, I'm a journalist. I can't take sides. Like, who are you fooling? Like, these people in the media aren't fooling anybody anymore. And if they are, shame on you. So you try to ask, if you ask regular people, like if you, that's why I said, I know Scott Pressler, who I've had on the show here, or I interviewed him in person, he goes and registers all these people. The best place to register new voters is outside any grocery store in the country or outside any gas station in the country. Those are the two best places to register new voters, because they've crushed the regular working class family. The people who are flourishing have come into the country illegally. The people that are on government assistance, these are the people that are flourishing the most in the Biden-Harris administration. The people that are suffering are the blue-collar workers, the middle-class workers, the family men, the family women. Those are the ones that are suffering the most because of this, and they're going to continue to suffer. God forbid this lady gets the realm. God forbid they give her the White House. The families in this country are going to be so crushed. And it continues to happen and the border's a mess, and we know that. It's sickening that there's people that are actually going to vote for this woman. And one person that knows just how sick she is Steve Bannon. Now, Steve Bannon, he has been, if not the biggest, one of the biggest names in the fight for a very long time here for Donald Trump. The War Room is probably the biggest conservative show that there is anywhere on the internet. It is, and every time I go to a CPAC or a Turning Point or something like this, Steve Bannon draws the biggest crowd of anybody that's there. When his show is going on War Room, you can't even get close to it. I mean, people are surrounding him. And the minute he's done, everyone wants a picture, an autograph. Steve Bannon has got a huge movement behind him in this War Room, all for Donald J. Trump for president. And he is a major, major determining factor in how this election is going to play out. And so much so that he's such a threat to the deep state and stopping Trump from being president that they have thrown him in the clink, right? So July 1st, Steve Bannon surrendered for a 4-month federal prison sentence for defying a subpoena that was related to January 6th, the protests that took place on January 6th. So he started serving his sentence. He's almost 2 months into it. Here's a clip of him before he went into the clink with his daughter standing by his side. Take a look.
Do I have any regrets? ABC News just says I have not only no regrets, I'm actually proud of what I did, and I would felt terrible if I didn't do it. Yes. I don't mind going to prison today, yes. particularly if Congressman Green and Matt Gaetz and Anna Paulina Luna and other warriors in the House turn the focus on Nancy Pelosi. The J6 committee was completely illegitimate and set up. It's the reason it didn't have the impact of Watergate. It didn't have the impact of Iran-Contra because you had no ranking member, no minority counsel. They couldn't see the evidence, and they couldn't cross-examine witnesses. We need to reconstitute the J6 committee today. Yeah. Hey, folks, one of the reporters wants to know, how am I going to be heard every day? And I say, it's you. Yeah.
And Steve Bannon knows exactly why they've targeted him, why he's going into prison, why he's in there right now. And this is a guy, like I said, he is a danger and a threat to them, destroying our country and preventing Donald Trump from getting into the White House. So they've silenced him during one of the craziest. There's so much. And I'm going to have his daughter now, who you've seen standing next to him in the clip. Moren Bannon is going to join me here on the Alec Lay Show. But what a time to lock up Steve Bannon, one of the most vocal and positive voices out there in the MAGA movement, in the populist movement, in the America First movement. What a time to lock this guy up and try to silence him. We've seen Peter Navarro get locked up. They've weaponized this justice system. It's a two-tier. There's no question about it. You've seen Attorney General Merrick Garland define the exact same style subpoena, and nothing happens to him while our guys go into the joint. And it's a disgrace. So in his absence, His daughter, Moureen Bannon, has stepped up to the plate. She is the CEO of War Room. She is running the show while Steve is in prison. She is a U.S. Army veteran, and I'm absolutely honored to get her to join me here on the Alec Lay Show. So let's bring her. There's a few things. I know I have a limited window. I'm going to try to get in as many of this stuff as I can. So let's do this.
You're listening to the Alec Lay Show. The future is family.
Okay, here we go. Joining me now, Moren Bannon. Welcome to the Alec Lay Show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. I had a chance to speak with you a few times at some of these different events. I know, unfortunately, now your father, it's almost 2 weeks. It'll be 2 months since they locked him up. When's the last time you had a chance to speak to your father, a first-class father, by the way? When's the last time you had a chance to speak with him?
So we communicate daily over email. So I actually heard from him earlier today, and I do get a ton of emails a day from him, so I know that he's doing good in there, but it's frustrating that he's not out, that he is, locked up for doing nothing wrong. But like you said, almost 2 months down, 2 more to go, and then the left thinks by putting him in Danbury Correctional Facility, they are silencing him. Yes, they are silencing per se because he's not behind the mic. However, his voice is still being heard through our guest host, myself. And by doing this, it's only going to make his voice louder when he gets out.
Well, the War Room is only growing stronger. You've done a phenomenal job stepping up to the plate, filling in the role for your father there. Obviously, the War Room Army is very strong. It's one of the most popular shows, if not the most popular show that there is. Now, since your father was put away, I mean, so much has happened between Trump getting shot, Biden stepping down, Kamala being installed. We had the RNC. Now we got the DNC. What's been, kind of his communication with you about all this? I mean, what a time to silence him or to take him out of the picture. What has been his take on all this stuff? What has he conveyed to you about all of it?
I agree. What a time for him to be away and not be able to get his voice out behind the mic. But, when President Trump was shot at and actually hit the assassination attempt, I immediately sent him an email. And mind you, it takes about 90 minutes each way for an email. So, a couple hours later is when I finally got a response back from him. But I let him know that President Trump there was an assassination attempt on him. And he said, I've been calling this. And actually, we pulled the clips. He has been saying this since 2022, that the administrative and the deep state do not want President Trump back in office. And they would stop at nothing to keep him from getting back in office. And that's exactly what we saw on July 13th. They were trying to go as far as killing him in order to prevent him from getting back in office. And, with the whole debate with Joe Biden, my dad said before he went into prison, do not do the debate. He said that on War Room because Joe Biden will do so bad that they will have to remove him as the candidate and the nominee. And that's exactly what we saw. He did terrible. And then weeks after my dad went into prison, and I know he says no conspiracies, no coincidences. However, it's just ironic that, weeks after he went into prison, now all of a sudden, all the stuff that he is saying would happen has happened. And we saw a bloodless coup against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris installed as the nominee.
Yeah, and I'm going to get your take on that in just a second. But sticking with the Trump assassination attempt, which obviously all these signs point to it being an inside job. I remember, in fact, when we were there, last time I seen you was in Detroit at the Turning Point thing that they had. And I remember that everybody had gone through security and then some staff member went out the back door or something. And they had to get everybody out and rescreen the whole building. So it's like I've been at so many of these things where it seems like the Secret Service is so tight, it's impossible to get anywhere near him. So it just had that feel like, man, it's impossible for some young kid, 20-year-old, to get that close to the president with a clear line of sight in broad daylight. It's just, and no one yet has paid the price for this colossal failure. So what's your latest take on this whole thing?
It very much seems like an inside job. And, exactly what you said in Detroit, where there was a security breach, that everyone had to be rescreened, but the amount of failures or things that were noticed ahead of time or before President Trump even took the stage should have prevented him from being allowed to go out on that stage. And it reeks to high heaven of an inside job. And the fact that Speaker Johnson did not put any former snipers on that team to investigate what happened should say a lot too. You don't have Representative Corey Mills, Representative Eli Crane, Representative Luttrell. You don't have any of them on that committee to investigate. That should raise a red flag. That are you trying to protect the fact that this was an inside job? The evidence shows that it was an inside job, and I stand by that. And I think that those 3 representatives are going to force, I don't know if they're going to do an alternate investigation themselves or force the committee to actually, do the right thing and expose the truth. But we'll see in the next coming weeks.
And you couldn't be more right, Maureen. When you have guys that are combat veteran snipers in the house and you don't take the leash off of them and let them go investigate this, it almost seems like you don't want to get to the bottom of it. And I've had several former SEAL snipers here on the show. Rob O'Neill has been on, Eric Prince has been on, and every one of them, I know Eli, he's been on too. I mean, they all say the same thing. The minute you get to the site and you look, the building it's not like it's some secretive thing. It's right there. I mean, even the images that we got when they show the guy walking across the building, you see how close it is. It's not like something that was in a far off distance that they could have just miscalculated. This was an obvious spot for somebody to take a shot at President Trump, and they willfully looked the other way. Their drone wasn't working, but the kid was flying a drone. Like, so many of these things really don't add up, and it makes you worry so much more about now moving forward. Will they try this again? I mean, not only do we have to get Trump to November, but he's got another 4 years, hopefully, of being in the White House where we'd have to worry about this.
We do, and it needs, people need to answer for what happened, but you also need to look into, I believe, the Secret Service, especially given when he was shot, the fact that they let him stand up. And I know President Trump is going to stand up if he wants to stand up. However, you left his chest open for another shot. You don't know if there's a second shooter anywhere. And then his chest is wide open to being shot at. There's things that happened that day that definitely need to be questioned, exposed in that investigation. But, and I've said this, I'm all about women, strong women in positions of power if they've earned it. And if those women on the Secret Service that were standing there that day, if they were qualified and able to carry, if God forbid he had been shot and they had to carry his body, if they're able to do that, that's one thing. The 2 female Secret Service agents in that picture do not look like they're able to do the job effectively. And they're setting women back, and we need to question that as well.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it that it doesn't take anything away from women who do serve, like yourself. Like, I have nothing but respect for female women who serve our country, whether that be in law enforcement or the military. But it doesn't remove you from criticism from doing your job. And that did kind of look like a Keystone Cops type of. There's no other way around it. I mean, it looked. The optics of it looked terrible. But so I want to just move on there now too, real quick, to Biden, how he gave an interview with Lester Holt, where he bragged about, hey, 14 million people voted for me in the primary. I'm going to listen to them. I'm not going anywhere. And then 6 days later, he puts out this post on Twitter and just says he's not going to run. And it was just after all that momentum he had of, I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to run. And then all of a sudden just puts out a post on Twitter, and that's it. The campaign's over. Nobody, Kamala Harris didn't get one vote in the primary. She got maybe one vote, if that, in the last time she ran. And they just put her in, and everyone's just kind of like, oh, okay, this is democracy now. We didn't get a chance to vote for her. Nobody picked her. She didn't win any popular votes. She didn't win any contest. And she's the nominee all of a sudden. In the name of democracy, we installed her. So what was your take on that whole thing?
Well, I think that first off, I think my dad called this, that Joe Biden was going to be ousted from being the nominee. before he went into prison. But I think that all those people that said that Joe Biden was at the sharpest he's ever been, smartest he's ever been, they need to be held accountable or questioned at least, like, how are you qualified for your position if you think this man is the sharpest he's ever been? But the fact that she has become the nominee, like you said, with basically the American people didn't vote for her. The Democrats should be upset. That's not who they voted for. They voted for the dementia-ridden cadaver-in-chief. And he's not even running this country at this point. We see him like laying on the beach, Kamala Harris being saluted coming off Marine One. You know, it should make you very upset that she has this much power and she's not technically the one in office, or the fact that it should make Democrats mad. You didn't vote for her. You did not vote for her. So how is she going to be your nominee? Look at her record. Look what she's done to this country in the last 3 years. And you see at all these rallies, she says, on day one as president, I'll do this. You're VP. You can do this stuff right now. You can help turn this economy around. You can close the border so that illegal immigrants don't keep crossing the border, that crime isn't running rampant in our cities. And the fact that, you know, people are praising her like, oh, she's a woman, she'll do great things. What has she done in the last 3 years as VP? Nothing. I mean, nothing good. She's done everything wrong and turned everything that she's touched into garbage. But we should see what her acceptance speech is like at the DNC this week. I'd be very interested to hear what she has to say, because none of those people voted for her.
Yeah, and you're right. She's done nothing. I feel dumber every time I listen to her speak. But to your point about the media, how they, anybody in the media that told you Biden was cognitively okay and he was sharp as a tack and he was okay, anybody that listens to these people ever again in their life should just be taken out back and shot. How could you listen to anybody ever again that was proclaiming that he was fine and fit to serve? That's it. Your card is pulled. We don't listen to anything you have to say ever again. It's almost like Fauci. Oh, I've been vaccinated 6 times, got COVID 3 times. We never listen to you again anymore. Like, that's it. Like, but it seems like the people are so dumb that they just keep coming back for more, and they love being lied to. It just seems like the people, especially the Democrats, just love being lied to.
Well, that in the media, especially running cover for Joe Biden, but even elected officials like Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota, she said weeks before he was ousted that he was the sharpest. I believe she said he was the sharpest he's ever been. So, you know, we have an America First candidate running in Minnesota. He should be the next senator, not someone that thinks that Joe Biden, who can't even remember what day of the week it is, or how to finish a sentence, you know, should be in office. You had Tim Walz. Tim Walz said he is the nominee. He is the sharpest we've ever seen him. And that is Kamala Harris's VP pick. Let's forget about, you know, as a veteran, it very much bothers me, his stolen valor, but just take into account that he abandoned the citizens of Minnesota or Minneapolis when it was burning in 2020. But the fact that he was running cover for Joe Biden, you know, all of these politicians, especially if they're up for election in November for the general election, they need to have those seats flipped to America First candidates that actually care about this country, not protecting and running cover for the cadaver-in-chief Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, who has done nothing for this country, and Tim Walz, who abandoned the people of his state. Kamala Harris abandoned the people of this country in the last 3 years.
Yeah, and how about Tim Walz's wife? Oh, I left the window open so I could smell the touchstone of what a sick puppy, you know. But going back now here too, I don't know if your father had spoken on this. Other people I know besides myself have said, I'm fearful that the October surprise this year would be Joe Biden resigning or somehow getting him out, and then Kamala becomes the first female president of the United States. They would make this like a, like the inauguration of the king. Like they would make this whole thing a coronation. She'd be going on tour. It would be like this whole thing. And I think that would give her such a huge boost saying, well, now you got to give her a chance. She's the first female president. So I think that would help their campaign if they did it. I hope that they don't do it. But what do you see? Or has your father spoken on it? Do you think they're going to pull them out and make her the first president while they have the chance?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I'd honestly be surprised if they waited until October. I know it's called October surprise, but I'd be shocked given the way he's acting and stumbling around that they would wait until October. Honestly, with the video I saw of her being saluted when she's coming off Marine One makes me think that it's already been done. I'm doing more research into that before I completely put that out there, but the way it looks is maybe behind the scenes. And I believe that he has said that she has basically been running operations for a while now. So I think officially we'd probably see it before October. But at the same time, it makes me wonder if the Democrat Party has something else in store, if they're going to remove Tim Walz off the ticket maybe in October, or I don't think that if she accepts the nomination at the DNC, I don't see Kamala Harris coming off the ticket before November. But if more and more keep coming out about Tim Walz and the disastrous things that he's done to the state of Minnesota and what he would do to the United States if he had control, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he comes off the ticket, but I'm not sure. My dad and I have not talked about that, but that might be a conversation we need to have.
Yeah, he's obviously terrible he hates America. He's an anti-parent, one of the most anti-parent people in politics. So, I mean, he definitely would be horrible for America. Just staying on that last thing to get you out of here then, the House Oversight Committee now has completed their, what seems like decades-long investigation into the impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden. Now they say, oh, Joe Biden's guilty. He defrauded the U.S. out of $27 million or something like that, or at least $27 million that his family benefited. And now it's like, what is the purpose of this now? We're going to impeach him and then make Kamala the president? That hurts us. So it's like too little, too late. What's your take on this oversight committee now with the impeachment inquiry findings?
I agree with you. A little too late. Like, where was this, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? We know that he's been guilty of all these crimes. Why now? Why would we want to impeach him right before the election and then have Kamala Harris as the commander-in-chief? We've already seen what she's done to this country as VP. What makes us think that she isn't going to destroy the country even more if she has full control over it? We thought things were bad now. They'll get extremely worse if she has control of the nuclear codes. And so it's nice to see that they came to that conclusion, but where was this a year ago, 2 years ago? Like, what makes you think now all of a sudden it's a great thing to do?
Yeah, it just seems to be typical Republican nonsense coming way late to the table with the election interference, with the stolen election. Everything comes too little, too late from the Republican side. So it's very disgraceful. I know I got to get you out of here. What do you got coming up this week we can look forward to on the War Room? What do you got?
So I know people are going to be shocked, but WarRoom is actually streaming the DNC all week because we want to kind of expose what the Democrats' plan is. So I know a lot of the WarRoom audience will be a little bit shocked by that, but that's what we're going to be streaming outside of the show. We have some great guest hosts. Peter Navarro has been a guest host since my dad's been away. He will be hosting Wednesday and Friday, and the great Royce White, Senate candidate from the state of Minnesota, the belly of the beast, he will be hosting on Saturday morning. So I would tune in. We have other amazing guest hosts, but those are ones that the audience probably knows very well and would probably love their shows. So you can watch War Room Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and then 5 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on all social media platforms and also on Rumble, Roku, Pluto, Samsung TV. And then always, I come in very hot on social media, so they can always find me and for latest updates on War Room on my social media as well.
Well, War Room is the best in the business. Really honored to have you for a few minutes today. Maureen Bannon, thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time today on the Alec Late Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Alec.
All right, honored to have Maureen Bannon on the podcast. What you guys think about the interview? Let me know with a comment down below. Get involved in the live chat. Don't forget, if you are enjoying this program, hit the like button and follow the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I would love to have her back on again down the line anytime. The War Room, again, the War Room posse is one of the biggest fighting forces for Donald Trump that we have right now. I'm sure many of you listeners out there are avid fans of the War Room. Props to Moren Bannon stepping up to the plate. Again, Steve Bannon, first-class father who raised a first-class woman, and she is crushing it over there at the War Room. So I appreciate her dropping by and giving me a few minutes. And one of the things I was talking to her about there is this House Oversight Committee. It's incredible that not just the House Oversight, Judiciary, and the Ways and Means Committees, they put together now this 300-page report of this impeachment inquiry that has been going on forever into Joe Biden and his dirty dealings with laundering money for himself, using his position as president, as vice president, I should say, to make himself fat in the purse. And this is what this investigation has found. It's 300 pages. I think they've released about half of the pages of the report. All of them may be out by now. I don't know. But Biden enriched himself and his family to the tune of more than $27 million from foreign individuals. So the GOP is saying these are impeachable offenses. Now, as I was saying to Maureen Bannon, what good does this do us here at this point? The last thing you want to do is remove Joe Biden from office because you make Kamala Harris the first ever woman president now as she's running for president. This would be a disaster. This is exactly what they would want. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think you have enough votes in the House on the Republican side to impeach Joe Biden, even if it wasn't for the fact that they say, hey, we don't want to impeach him because we don't want Kamala. I'm saying straight up that wouldn't impeach him because the GOP has been a complete failure in the House with this slim majority that they've had. They've done nothing, and they've been a total, complete disaster. No leadership. They've taken no action. Here's this thing. This was a 3-year-old thing. This Hunter Biden, Burisma, the laundering of money to the Biden family has been something talked about 4 years ago. And now with less than 2 months to go, you're talking about impeaching them? This is a perfect example of how much of a disgrace that the GOP has been. Now, there's some good people in there. Don't get me wrong. I've had a ton of them on the show. There's people there that are doing good, that are fighting the good fight, but there's not enough of them. There is not enough of them. Speaker Mike Johnson has got to get the hell out of that role as Speaker. We cannot have him in there. There has to be a MAGA, an America First patriot having the Speaker role in going forward. We cannot have any more of these people like McCarthy and this guy Johnson. No more. That's got to be it. The only answer is to have somebody in there that's an America First, Trump First, MAGA First patriot. That's it. A populist guy's got to get in there and get the gavel. We can't have any more of this backing down, soft in the tush, light in the loafers type of approach when it comes to politics in the House. It has to be in your face, take the ball, shove it down your throat. We're moving forward. We had enough of your shit. Get out of our way type of mentality. That's the type of winning attitude we got to have. The whole plate, the whole atmosphere, the whole energy in the GOP in the House has been defense. Let's not ruffle any feathers. We're all disagreeing. We don't like this. We don't want to do that. It's been a disgrace. We've accomplished nothing because of it. So we have to find these people that are rhinos that are in there. We got to primary them and get them out, and we have got to take a bigger lead in the House, and we've got to get control of the Senate if we want any shot to do anything. If Trump is now, it matters either way. It's going to matter. No matter if they cheat Trump out of the election again, we still need to win the House and the Senate, because if not, we're going to be totally lost. If the Democrats would ever get hold of all three branches of government, we are sunken as a country. It is over. The party is over. So the House has been a tremendous disappointment. Here we go now. What are we in? We're at the end of August. We got September, October, November. We got 3 months to go. And now they're like, oh, we found evidence that Joe Biden, he was stealing money. He enriched himself using it. Well, really? Well, no kidding. Where have you been? And none of it's going to stick anyway. I know that many of you share the same sentiment, but the GOP has been a disaster. During this Biden administration. It's been nothing but a joke. And they're on vacation right now. I haven't had any congressmen or congresswomen on in quite a while here. I know that they're doing their vacation. I think they only got like maybe 15 working days left on the year, but they'll be back in September. I'm going to do my best to get the ones that are good. I know Eli Crane, Jim Jordan. I'm going to try to get some of these guys I've had on the podcast, get them back onto the show here to really hammer some of these points home. So I'll do my best once they come back in session. And just the last thing here, I'll touch on some woke news, which I thought was pretty interesting here. The Acolyte was the Star Wars series from Disney has now been canceled. They canceled season 2 because this was the wokest. I mean, and now Star Wars has gotten woke over the last few years, but this was the wokest that they've ever had, and nobody liked it. I don't even think the Star Wars diehards that can kind of tune out the wokeness could even stomach what this thing brought to the table. So Acolyte has been canceled. They're not going to do a season 2 of that. How many more of these things is it going to take before they say, you know what, if we stop putting this woke bullshit in our films or in our products or in our commercials, we could probably do better in sales. But it doesn't seem to matter. It seems to make no difference to them whether they make a profit or not. They're going to shove the wokeness down your throat. Makes no difference. And it's really mind-boggling. Now, Robbie Starbuck, who's been on the podcast here, I've had him on First Class Fatherhood. This guy is doing a tremendous, we got to call him like the woke buster or something like that. Robbie Starbuck has been going after these companies for their wokeness policies. He's already taken down John Deere and Tractor Supply. Now he has gone after and has won against Harley Davidson. Now, Harley Davidson you think of as a manly man's type of motorcycle. It's, it's just encompasses everything you would expect in a rough and rugged type of male-dominated industry. Harley Davidson. Well, they went woke as hell. They had a diversity, equity, inclusion. They were race obsessed. They were embracing the gender ideology. They got involved in taking action against laws that would prevent child mutilation and child, surgeries that they do for this transgender stuff. They got themselves involved in all of this wokeness. They had their employees train on how to become LGBTQ allies. I mean, it got way out of hand. Robbie Starbuck was all over this, just the way he was over it with Tractor Supply and John Deere. He put the screws to this online, started a whole online movement of boycotting Harley Davidson. It went, and I'll put this up here, Harley Davidson had to respond to it, and as a result, they will have no more of this nonsense of training their employees on how to be LGBTQ allies. They're not going to be doing the DEI hiring. They're not going to be getting involved in donating money to different political causes and all this stuff. They're going to do things that are neutral, where it doesn't get turn away half of your base. So Robbie Starbuck, really put the screws to Harley Davidson. Props to him, and he's working hard on all these companies, and it's got to be rooted out. Harley Davidson also added 2 additional months of inclusion besides the Pride Month. Then they had a ride with Pride. It's like it's enough with all this stuff. And so these companies that are going to keep doing it, you want the pressure on that Robbie Starbuck is putting on, because you want these companies that are going to do it to say, they try to do it so sneakily too, like, oh, this is what we have to do. We keep it on the down low. Expose these companies for doing it. Shout it out and get rid of it. It's the only way to get this nonsense out of our society. So I thought that was some pretty good news, and good work by Robbie Starbuck there to bust up the Harley Davidson DEI qualifications that were going on over there. I mean, we've seen what happened with all this stuff with the Bud Light, with the Target. It's never ending. And again, I still can't figure it out why they would rather swallow profits and push the agenda than just get rid of the agenda and dance in the profits. I cannot figure that out. They got to be getting money from somewhere to do all this stuff. They wouldn't just deliberately tank their product in order to push the agenda. I can't believe that would be the case. It's like the people that were writing The Acolyte for Disney had to know as they were writing each page of the script that this was going to be a disaster. They had to know that. They had to know that when they filmed it, they had to say, before we push the play button or before we push the publish button, we know that this is going to do terrible. But we're going to publish it anyway because it's going to shove an agenda down people's throats. Is that really the mentality that's going on with these companies, with these movie companies, with these businesses? Very, very mind-boggling. Anyway, what's your take on it? Hit me with a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. That's really all I got for you guys today. I know we have the rest of the DNC. I'm doing my best to try to get. I know there's a lot of people there reporting from the DNC. I'm trying to use my contacts here to see if I can get somebody from the DNC to join me here on Thursday for the broadcast. So follow me on X at Alec Lace. I'm doing my best to get a guest for Thursday's show. Again, I appreciate Moureen Bannon stopping by. If you enjoyed that, please hit the like button. Don't forget to follow the channel. And I will be back Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Rumble. And again, if you missed out on the debate that I did between Sean Farish and Esty Palti portraying Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, you have got to go check it out. It's one previous episode back. It's the presidential debate that we've all been waiting for, that we all deserve, really. It is hilarious. It's hysterical. They'll give you a half hour of pure joy to listen to it. So many people, they were like, if you just listen to the audio, you'll think it's truly them. And that is the case. They are spot on. So go back and take a listen to that. Don't miss out. All right, so that's all I got for you guys today. God bless all you parents out there. God bless you listeners. God bless our police, our first responders. God bless America. And I will catch you guys on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right back here on Rumble.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
Promo code FATHERHOOD. Go to mypillow.com and everything we have on sale there. Actually, we brought in the percale sheets. The queen size, $34.98 a set. King size, $39.98 a set. That's unheard of. It's the lowest price in history. And everything else on there that we have, you can save up to 80%. We don't have any middlemen. We don't have box stores and stuff. They canceled on MyPillow. They even canceled my book to get my book out, So use that promo code FATHERHOOD, everybody, and please help us out, and thanks for ones that you have already helped out. And by the way, you'll be helping yourself to the best sleep in history, period.
I got to tell you that mattress topper is the best product I have in the house, Mike, no doubt.
And that turns any bed into the best bed in history. If you got an old bed, new bed, doesn't matter. You put the mattress topper on there, and it changes everything. You need a different input to get a different output. People waking up every day going, maybe my bed will be better tonight. No, you need a MyPillow mattress.